Welcome to the Made to Flourish podcast. We're so excited that you would join us in this conversation today. We do just want to preface this episode with letting you know that we had some audio issues upon recording this episode. And so you're going to notice the quality of this audio conversation to be a little bit different from our previous conversations, as well as there being a little bit of the audio going in and out. We tried our very best to get this as clear as we possibly could so that you could still catch this awesome conversation. And we hope that you will stick with us until the end and gain some new tips and tricks for you and your family.
Welcome back to the Made to Flourish podcast. Today we are talking about something that I'm really excited about. It is going to be clean living mom hacks, mainly about budgeting, products that I've been loving, and ways that I try to save money in the kitchen and in my home with non-toxic products or food from scratch. Yaz is also someone who's like learning and growing in this area and is very curious and has lots of questions all the time. So I feel like what better way for us to dive into this than you almost like low-key interviewing me and just asking me all the things.
Yes.
And I did want to start off with the question of, what have you been loving this week? What's a product or something you're eating or whatever that it's been like tickling you this week?
You know what? That's a great word. Tickling me.
Tickling. What tickles you this week?
You know, this week, like what has just been like giving me joy and just like every time I eat it is Magic Spoon's cereal. Meg had to remind me that it's not called Moon Spoon.
Moon Spoon.
Which is what my brain decided it was called. But Magic Spoon.
Carried in Costco now.
They do.
Specifically. The fruity one.
The flavor that I am like. This is what.
Let me guess. Cinnamon.
Yes.
I knew you were going to say that.
It is so good. For those who have tried Magic Spoon a year ago or 2 years ago, they have a new and improved recipe. Like it's different.
Ooh, okay.
Because I tried it.
I have noticed that. Yes. I tried it a few years ago and I was like, nah.
It says on box, new and improved. I'm like, oh, good, you knew.
They are using, they use Costco flour, so it's grain-free.
Okay.
It's high in protein. It's low in carbs.
Yes.
Of course, there are new things talking about how Costco has like high levels of lead in it.
I know, I'm seeing that, which I'm annoyed.
It's annoying. I mean, it's just like, they're just going to ruin everything for us, I feel like.
I'm like, well, then what?
But you know what? I like Magic Spoon. So I probably have a bowl maybe a week.
Yeah.
But with my raw
it's
milk.
Like an every night kind of thing for me. It's replacing my Haagen-Dazs. So I feel like this is good for my blood sugar. You know?
Oh, definitely good for your blood sugar.
I'm getting protein. I'm getting
a little
low
treat.
carb.
Little dopamine hit.
Milk in.
Yeah.
No, I'm actually, what people don't know is like I'm just been having to kind of watch my glucose levels in this pregnancy. And I have like a monitor in my arm right now. So I'm always like aware of what I'm, how like my things are affecting my insulin levels. And when I have this Magic Spoon, it just stays right where it needs to be.
That's awesome.
You know, nothing spiking, nothing dropping. So I'm like, you know what? This is it. This is my pregnancy hack.
Oh, I love that.
For this one.
You know, I'm trying to think about like the things I've really been loving this week. I was going to talk about my toothpaste, but you know what I've been really loving this week is my grain mill. Like I mill grain. You know that, right? You've seen it.
Yes, I've seen it.
So I buy bulk grain from Azure, which I'm actually going to talk about later. But I got a grain mill for my birthday for my mother-in-law, who's like so generous. She bought me this and surprised me. I gasped. You know when you open up a gift and you're like, oh,
wow.
Like I haven't had a moment like that since like Christmas as like a little girl.
Like, you know me.
Wow.
You know me. You see me. You love me.
So 3 years ago, she bought me a grain mill it's a Nutri-Mill, and it's like the Harvest model. And I posted about it on my stories this week because they had a Labor Day sale, but we'll link it in our show notes. But there's something about milling my grain that like makes me really happy. So I've made sourdough cinnamon rolls, which we ate in the car before this. I did a sandwich bread loaf and then a traditional like bowl, and all with like fresh milled grain. And I don't know, for some reason, it just like made me smile. It just makes me happy to be able to like make, I feel like Laura Ingalls from Little House on the Prairie.
You little cutie. You little cutie patootie. That's awesome. My husband is, he's our flour guy in the house. Like he's the baker. Akeem is really good because I think baking is so number oriented, right? And measurement oriented. And you have to kind of be precise with baking. And Akeem has that mathematical brain. So he's either a bread maker he would be our miller.
I feel like I was just thinking about this too, because I'm very left brain, like a key. I'm like analytical, like my thoughts run the show versus feelings.
Yeah.
However, I do dip into creativity, particularly around food.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's like a really fun way for like left brainers to be able to like dip into their right brain is, well, I guess baking has to be more precise, but even with baking, like I'm not very precise with baking. Everything sourdough that I made yesterday, I was throwing in kamut flour, all-purpose flour. I was milling my own grain. I was like, I love experimenting.
Yeah.
I'm just going to see how kamut does with this. Kamut is like an ancient grain.
That was in the sourdough rolls you made?
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
I know. So like I fed my starter with kamut flour. So kamut is actually an ancient grain. I think it's originally from Italy, just like einkorn.
Okay.
So these are ancient grains that haven't been hybridized like our American grain. And that's why people go to Europe and they experience like less bloat and less, like eczema, all these things because of the grain they use.
Okay.
It's not sprayed with pesticides. It's just an amazing grain. So I get mine from bulk in Azure Standard.
Okay, so they sell that. That's amazing.
They sell kamut, and they sell it quite often because I think people are trying to catch on to like the kind of flour they're using. Right. So I'll just talk about Azure. We can just start there. So
sure.
The Azure Standard is, I'm not going to explain them perfectly, but they're basically like a company that sources their food in bulk from organic farms.
Okay.
And not just farms, like there is an Azure farm. So like Azure makes their own products too. But they are like, if you are a crunchy queen and you're not scrunchy, but you're like, listen, I care about the kind of glass that's being used for my peanut butter. I'm not saying that I'm a perfectionist or a purist, but there are certain things that really matter to me. And one of them is plastic versus glass.
Yeah.
So like I bought 50 pounds of peanut butter from Azure because
I think I got one.
I remember getting my order and being like, hey, who wants some peanut butter? or honey that's like not been processed. Yeah. I want my food in glass because I don't want my estrogen levels to spike because like peanut butter is bottled hot. Like in Costco, they have organic peanut butter, but it's hot when it's processed and then it's put in plastic. And like, if you're going to have something in plastic, it shouldn't be hot. So like those are the things where I'm like, if I'm going to be eating peanut butter, I'm not going to be eating estrogen filled crappy peanut butter. So Azure, what you do is you make an account. Once again, this will be in the show notes. You make an account. You order what you want from Azure. You can order as much or as little as you want because what they end up doing is they come in this giant semi truck. You've seen me at my pickup before. And they'll pick a spot in your city or near your town. For me, it is where your daughter used to go to school. And it's a parking lot, right? I show up and I have my little name on a piece of paper like I'm waiting in, for somebody to get off the airplane. And they just kind of unload everything and then I drive home with it. And sometimes like I've gotten like 50 pounds of organic apples. I've got 50 pounds of pears. I've gotten 50 pounds of beets. I buy things
Is that because they only make it available at 50 pounds? Is that why you're getting 50 pounds?
The more you buy, the more you save.
Okay.
So if
It's like a traveling Costco.
Yeah, kind of.
Organic.
Yes. And so for instance, if you buy 5 pounds of apples, let's say it's like $8 a pound. But if you buy 10 pounds of apples, it'll go down to like $6.50 a pound.
Okay.
If you buy 50 pounds of apples, they might sell it for $5 a pound.
Okay.
So people like me, I have like a freeze dryer, which I also love. And I like to like preserve food and stuff like that. I will buy 50 pounds of organic apples for $5 a pound, or maybe let's say it's like $3.50 a pound because that's on sale. I'll take that. And then the last time I did it, when I peeled it, I like made apple cider vinegar with all my peels.
Smart.
And then I cut up my apples and I did some things like I made apple pie filling that I knew I could freeze.
Smart.
To like use for apple pies.
Yes.
And then my kids, of course, ate tons of apples. And I made apple butter and then I freeze dried like 15 pounds of apples and I just like sealed them off. And like now I have that in storage for whenever I want it. It saves for 25 years.
Wow.
So I love Azure Standard. I also bought probably like 100 pounds of my grains from them. So I bought like my wheat berries.
Nice.
And I just like stored it in my laundry room. And I had Cam pull out of my mouth the other day. So I'm like, I want to get a gauge on like how much I've used in the last year. And I had like probably like a pound left of all of them. So I've used like 100 pounds of grain.
Wow.
In the last year.
So how often do you order from them?
I order from Azure probably once every 3 months.
Okay.
I have some hauls up on YouTube. I'm going to have more up later. But you know where you get your like the cheese I buy, like the 5-pound block of. There's very specific things I order from them. I like ordering my raw cheddar cheese from them. I have 10 pounds in my fridge right now.
Oh, Mama needs to buy some.
Yes, you can buy a 5-pound block off of me. I think that's actually a good hack for people. Go in with people on that.
Yes.
So like we have a little text thread. So like when I got in like all the last time I ordered, I got a ton of peanut butter, I got a ton of honey, I got a ton of cheese. And so like I just let my friends know, like,
Yeah.
hey, and salt, I've gotten my Celtic sea salt from there.
Nice.
And so I'll let people know, like, I just got in a big shipment of these things. This is how much it was per pound. And I just let people just buy it from me.
That's awesome. You have like this really incredible ability to see a vision through bulk life
I do.
that I just don't understand.
Yeah.
And I think there's so many cool tips and tricks that you have created for your family flow that I think your followers could learn so much from. Share a little bit about like how, like when you see like a 10-pound chicken, what do you see when you see that? And how do you kind of like visualize your week for meals? Because that's a big pain point for me.
Right.
Is like I feel lost a lot in just like how to make the most of what I'm getting meat wise. And you have this incredible ability to like make so many different meals out of like one solid thing of meat. So talk about that a little.
Yeah. So first of all, I grew up in a family. There was always bare minimum 9 people in my house.
Wow.
Including my nephew. But we also had other people over there. So like sometimes there was up to like 12 people living at my house at one time. So my mom was always cooking big amounts of food. So when you say a chicken, in my mind, I'm automatically like, that's not enough. Like a whole chicken's not enough.
Right.
So I'm thinking like, if I'm going to cook a chicken, I'm going to cook 2 chickens.
Right.
And then I'm going to take that chicken and I'm going to shred it. And I'm going to probably make multiple meals out of that. So I think that's my go-to meals for me would be like enchiladas, easy shredded meat there, chicken salad. It's so easy. And like lunch meat is so expensive. Why buy lunch meat that's $11 or $12 per pound for sliced lunch meat when you could buy a whole chicken for $1.99 per pound and make chicken salad?
Right.
Think about that. $12 per pound versus $2 per pound. You're saving yourself $10 per pound on lunch meat. So chicken salad's a big one I'll do with the shredded chicken. Chicken noodle soup is easy. So I'm not just looking at the meat, I'm looking at the bones. So I'll cook 2 whole chickens. I'll shred them, save the meat, take the bones, put it in my Instant Pot. This is all on every platform I have, but like my website actually has this. And I just released a new book about bone broth. So I have the rotisserie chicken bone broth on there too. And I'll make soup out of those bones. And then I take the bones, I actually feed them to my chickens, which is, it sounds crazy, but they're carnivorous. I mean, they're cannibals. Yeah. The chickens they love bones. Yeah. It's a great calcium for them. I
knew it gives me something to process.
They will eat each other. Chickens are cool.
Oh my.
They'll eat their babies. They're really mean. Chickens are actually kind of mean and dumb. But
thank you for your eggs.
Yes. So I'll take the bones, I'll make broth from them, and then I will take like a third of whatever those chickens I use. I'll put it back into the Instant Pot with like vegetables. I'll make a soup from that.
So smart.
Yeah. What I love doing when I make soup is I will straight up pour that soup into a mason jar and put it in my freezer. And I'll be like, this is just going to be a meal for me in a day where like I don't want to cook.
Nice.
I just take it out of my freezer and let it thaw on my counter. Then like that night I'll like heat it up, or like I'll take it with me if I'm like traveling and I want to have a meal that's not fast food.
So smart.
Yeah.
How do you bulk prep for your kids like lunches and just their meals? Like what does that look like for you? I know you have some like little strategies.
Yeah. I think that one of the best things that moms could do is simplify what their kids snack on. Like genuinely, I think we'd save so much money if we do that. One thing that's amazing that Costco does is they put how much everything costs per pound or per ounce. So if you're buying turkey, it'll say organic sliced turkey meat. This is $13.99 per pound, right? Then you could go to buy some cereal. You could see, oh my gosh, per pound cereal cost me $18 per pound. Like, you know, of course, like you're not going to be buying an 18, but like just put, or beef jerky. Well, this is $26 per pound. Like to me, that like helps put things into perspective. So for me, fruit is really cheap per pound, right? So my kids' snack options are basically fruit. You have a fruit, a vegetable, a nut, or cheese. Yeah. Like those are my kids' snacking options. So if I'm prepping in the beginning of the week, I don't typically have to prep my fruit because it's either apples, bananas, or oranges. It's like really easy, just like shelf stable foods. But my raw cheese, I'll like cube like a pound of cheese, or I'll cut it into sticks. And then when my kids say they're hungry, or when my kids are going to co-op, I just grab a few sticks or a few like chunks of cheese out of that, and there's their snack. I also will take carrots, are super cheap. So I'll buy a 5-pound bag of organic carrots from Costco. At the beginning of the week, I'll just wash them and then I'll peel the skin off and then I'll chop them and I'll put them in a big mason jar with some filtered water. And that will last for a week. And whenever they're saying they're hungry or I'm trying to pack them a fast lunch, I just grab a handful of carrot sticks out of the jar and a giant bag of cashews, like raw cashews or sprouted cashews from Thrive. And they're saying they're hungry, I just grab a handful, throw it into a bag or throw it into a mason jar. And like, it's just simplified.
That's really smart. and you make their lunch bread.
Oh, yeah. I do sandwich bread every week. So my sandwich bread recipe is on my YouTube and it's also on my website. But I've been making this sourdough sandwich bread with my KitchenAid mixer. I make 2 loaves every single week without fail. And it is just the easiest recipe. I have it memorized. It's one of the few things I hardly measure anymore.
Wow.
I just know by like watching it like turn, I'm like, that's enough flour.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's really easy. And this recipe is not for people who have been making sourdough for a long time. This is like one of my first recipes I ever made in my life.
Yeah.
And it's literally never failed me.
Yeah.
It's the easiest recipe. You put it in a loaf pan. You don't have to shape it. You put it in the loaf pan. It rises. You bake it, and then you have bread.
I think I have a request for you as my best friend. I think I need you to show me how to make that bread.
I can show you. I can literally do it with
because legit, it's like I've been dealing with a mom guilt with Zara and Ellie with my sandwich bread
you.
because I just buy that from the store.
Yeah.
And there's not good options.
Yeah.
There just isn't. And lately,
What brand do you buy?
like, oh, I don't even know. I don't even want to talk about it. I cannot say it. Starts with an N.
Oh, no.
But it's not David's bread, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's not Ezekiel bread. Okay.
Yeah.
I've just been getting like the cheap, just like easy, whatever. It's soft and the kids will eat it kind of bread. But I've been like feeling this little mom guilt lately where I'm like, it's a pretty consistent option I'm giving them for lunch, especially if they're going back to school. I'm like, okay, I know every day I'm going to make her a sandwich. Do I really feel good about her eating this terrible bread every single day?
That's one of those things where it's like, the things that I compromise on aren't going to be things that we consume every day. So one option for you would be, you don't even need to use bread. Like, have you ever seen those Simple Mills crackers that Costco sells, almond flour crackers?
Yes.
So you could literally like make chicken salad, which is very affordable, like I was talking about earlier.
Totally.
And like give her like chicken salad and crackers.
That's true.
You could chop up sausages. Like Costco also has, they're not organic, but they're no nitrate or nitrates. And they're these like long
The grass-fed ones? Or no, I know which ones you're talking about. The long
beef ones. You could do grass. I mean,
she
like,
does love those.
Yeah. Like you just like chop them up into bite-sized pieces and give her like meat, fruit, and veggies and cheese. So there's ways. But with the sourdough sandwich bread, I can show you how to make it because really you don't need to do any shaping or kneading or anything. You add the ingredients into your mixer. You let it mix for 10 minutes. And then you separate the dough out and you let it rise in the tins and then you bake it.
Wow.
It takes very little thought. The scariest part of baking bread is literally just like the fear of failure. If you can get over
100%.
the fear of failure.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of Akeem because lately, so he's, like I said, he's our sourdough maker in our house. And he's been keeping your starter alive, honey. He's been keeping that thing alive for like, 2 years? She be strong.
Yeah.
And she be going through a lot in our household. I'm really proud of him because he was like off of it for a while, but he was like still, keeping the starter alive. And then he tried making some loaves.
Okay.
But he's been having a hard time getting them to rise. I don't know why or what. I have to just like exit the scene. I always say, I'm like, I feel like it's the way you're folding and stretching it and kneading it, but I don't know what I'm talking about, to be honest. But
I wish you would let me in. I came, let me in. Let me into your kitchen.
And he was like, man, he was really down on himself because I watched him like, okay, he just won. Like when he makes a glove, he's like, I'm a winner.
Yeah.
This felt so good.
Making a bad loaf when you are a baker.
Yes. Offensive.
Hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts.
I imagine. And I saw that in him because he made 2 loaves that like were just flat. They were just like flat. And it was like, man, I'm done. Like, I cannot do this. I was like, no, don't give up. Your only hope. Your only hope to sourdough. And he's been cranking that starter up again this week, and he's trying to do it again. I'm like, internally, I'm like,
do you know that
babe?
I just created a recipe recently that is no stretching and folding?
No.
It is
You
so
should just like text it.
easy. I'm gonna
say nothing.
I want
text it.
I want to film. I just want to like film from start to finish.
Yeah.
So we can see how easy it is because you could do it with multiple different kinds of flour. So I even did it with like fresh milk flour this week. But you add the ingredients all together. And then if you want to stretch and fold it, you can. But I don't time any of that. I let it sit on my counter for like 8 hours. And then I shape it. I put it in my Banneton and let it sit in the fridge overnight. And then I bake it with either the next morning or within the next 3 days.
Wow.
And it just turns out perfect.
I don't know what's happening.
I think Akira is overcomplicating it for real. I think a lot of people do that. They find overcomplicated recipes.
Yeah.
And then they end up getting discouraged because it's not doing what they want it to do. And they're like, well, I auto-laced it and I soaked it. And I'm like, literally just add it all together and like let it rise on your counter. Like you're dealing with a living thing. It's not, it's actually not as complicated as we make it seem. My email list sent it out. Is he on my email list? Probably not.
I don't think he's subscribed to Flourishing Brand.
I don't
Sorry,
blame him.
honey.
I don't blame him. I do want to talk about, I actually made a Costco haul on my channel a few weeks ago. And a lot of the responses to my Costco haul are, how do you make the produce that you buy last for 6 to 8 weeks?
Yeah.
First of all, I don't make produce last 6 to 8 weeks. That's like not within my control, but there's a strategy in buying my produce. So when I buy, I normally go to Costco every month and a half to 2 months purposely because I spend a lot of money there. The last haul was over $700. I think it was almost $800.
It's just so easy there. It's sickening. Honestly.
It's so easy. But the thing is that we're eating the food. So I'm like, whatever, it's not that bad. But I'll just use my last haul as an example.
Yeah.
I bought 12 mangoes. I bought, I think, a 3 or 5 pound thing of kiwi. I bought about 1.5 pounds of bananas. I think I bought maybe 10 pounds of apples. Wow. I bought a lot of apples from there.
Wow.
And then for as far as like my vegetables go, there was I bought like a thing of salad. I bought, because I'm growing those in my garden. That's part of my strategy. Celery and carrots. And so what I'll do when I get home is the first thing that my kids are going to be eating from my haul, they're not going to be grabbing the apples. I won't allow that. I let them grab the kiwis because those are the things that spoil first. And also like utilize your refrigerator because that just slows down, not with the bananas, but like with your kiwi and your mango. Like I let my mangoes and my kiwis sit out on my counter until they started getting soft. And then I put them in my fridge and that kind of like delayed the process.
Yeah.
But the first things that when my kids wake up in the morning, we're going to be eating the berries first. We're going to be eating kiwis and mangoes and bananas. And so once those started getting soft, I put them in my refrigerator. If the bananas got mushy, which some of them did, I use them to make cookies with. And then from there, after all of those are finished, then we start dipping into the apples or the whatever hasn't spoiled. So the apples are the next. Now, once the apples run out, which inevitably they will, then we dip into our frozen fruit. So Costco sells amazing organic frozen blueberries.
Yes.
So now after, like, let's say week 3 to 4, all the apples finally start disappearing. Now I'm going into the frozen food, and now they love just eating straight up frozen blueberries to them.
So do my kids.
They love it.
Love it.
Yeah. Those are like a treat. Or put them in their yogurt and I'll bring them with us, and then they start to thaw, but they keep the yogurt cold. After that's gone, sometimes I'll go to the dried fruit. From Azure Standard, one time I bought 25 pounds of banana chips. So I'll start eating dried banana chips. I have dried blueberries that Costco sells that are really freaking good. Those are really sweet. Those are like candy though.
Do they put sugar on them?
No, but they're like raisins. Like think of like blueberry raisins.
I love dried blueberries.
Yeah, they're just next level
So
good. Yeah. And so we'll go into the dried fruit and the frozen fruit. And there are times where Cam's like very accountable when it comes to grocery stores.
Okay.
If I say, hey, can you pick me up some bananas? He will not come up with anything but bananas. He's amazing.
Wow.
I'm not like that.
Not the same.
If you send me a store for bananas, I come back with whatever's on sale in the area. I'm coming back with that. I'm like, I got barbecue. I got, curry.
He comes home with everything but what I've asked for.
Right.
So.
Yes. So there are times I kind of reverse grocery shop. A lot of people, they're like, this is what I need for the week. I'm going to go to the store and get it. I'm going to Whole Foods because it's next to my chiropractor. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. All the peaches are on sale at Whole Foods. I'm going to buy 10 pounds of peaches because they're on sale. Wow. And then everything that we eat throughout the week is going to be surrounded by peaches.
Wow.
And so I just literally buy I reverse engineer it. If the chicken's on sale, or like, let's say there's ground pork, so every once in a while, Whole Foods is a really great ground pork sale where all the ground pork is 35% off. And I will literally sometimes I'll buy 12 pounds of ground pork. I freeze half of it right away. So I'll freeze 6 pounds of ground pork. Okay. And then I have 6 pounds of ground pork. And I'm like, all right, let's see. I'm going to do a sourdough skillet, which uses ground pork if I want to.
Yum.
I'll do Italian meatballs. I'll do ground pork and sage and butternut squash soup. And just like every single ground pork that week because it's 35% off. So like that is not practical advice for everyone. Like I'm thinking about like a Timna, one of our friends who's like very like type A. She's like, no, I don't care it was on sale. Like I plan out my week this way.
Right.
I'm the kind of person where I'm like, I like going to a store. I like seeing what's on sale.
Yeah.
And then I figure out what I can make around it.
That's your creative expression. Though,
right.
Too.
But if you're really hellbent on a budget, if you're like, I really want to buy organic pork, I don't want to buy crappy pork, then you can learn how to do this. This is what you should do step by step. You show up at Whole Foods, you're like, oh, ground pork's on sale for 35% off. Buy 5 pounds of it and then get into your car and go onto Pinterest or ChatGPT or Google and say, type in pork recipes. Think of what else you have. Let's say I have some celery, I have some carrots, I have some bone broth, type that in and say, can you come up with a recipe that has ground pork, carrots, celery, and bone broth? And I guarantee you will have answers.
Wow.
And if you don't,
I feel like you should make answers for that. I feel like you should make some recipe books.
I know I should.
Literally, like,
because that's all I do. That's like what I do on a daily basis.
Your brain. I'm like, can we just put your brain in a cookbook for this?
If I was more administrative, I know it's gonna happen. It will. I mean, I already have some recipes up right now, but I would say if you are someone who really wants to budget and budgeting is important for me, but also like making this food, then learn how to reverse engineer. So I'll do it at the store. I'll literally be like, I'll show up to, let's say I show up to Whole Foods or Costco and I'm like, oh my gosh, all the wild caught shrimp is on sale right now. I'm on my phone and I'm like, the simplest thing you could do, this is just like a life hack in general, a meat and a vegetable. If grilled shrimp is on sale, you don't even look up a recipe, but like, I'm going to saute my shrimp with salt and butter and pepper and then put it next to roasted carrots because I have carrots in there.
Right.
And then make like a side of rice.
Yeah.
So I did that. I grabbed a thing of pot roast. I found a pot roast in my freezer. I'm like, I gotta cook this or this is gonna go bad. And I thawed it. And then Cam's parents were coming to town and I was like, hey, I actually cooked a pot roast last night. I just like slow cooked it in my oven, having no plan. And I'm like, we have the only other vegetable we have right now is carrots. I'm like, let's just make roasted carrots on the side and cook some rice.
Yeah.
And that's a meal.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I do meals more is like that. I'm like, if
meat, vegetable, starch.
Yes. It's very simple. That way recipes I seem to botch. Last week was like a really like sad week for me. Did I tell you this?
Yes.
OMG, you guys. My pregnancy like situation right now is like not serving.
So complicated doesn't work for you.
Oh no. I mean, I don't even do complicated and sometimes the simple things just don't even work. Last week I made meals for the family 2 nights in a row, which just like felt like a big accomplishment in this season.
I'm proud of you.
And they were like massive failures. Like literally he was like, like we had to throw away the leftovers. Like we have no leftovers. We're not like gonna pretend like we're gonna eat this and let this sit in the fridge for a week. I was just like, man. But no, I do keep things simple. It's very much like, okay, if we can just have a side of rice, you know, the kids and Akeem love rice. So it's like, okay, a side of rice, a veggie, and a meat. That would be my realm for sure.
Yeah. So actually, like, I was just thinking like simple meals that you could throw together, like in my brain. This is just have cooked meat in your fridge.
Yeah. You're really good at that.
Like always, like whether that means buying sausage that is pre-cooked. So all you have to do is heat it up and then like cook a vegetable to go with it. Whether that means sometimes I'll literally like cook 5 pounds of ground beef or ground turkey just on a Sunday. I'm like, I'm just gonna cook this meat. I put it in my fridge and I'm like, I can make chili really fast if I want to. I can make tacos really fast if I want to. I can make quesadillas if I want to.
Smart.
So this week, there was a night where I literally got home. I think I got home at like 6:30 and I was like, I need to have dinner on the table in the next 30 minutes and I want my kids in bed by 7:45. So I got this. Oh, I love this deli meat. It's from Costco and it's this like pre-cooked turkey. You have it?
So good.
And I got those roti wraps, which are amazing. They have canola oil in them. You know, the ones that we used for birthday parties?
Yeah.
So you like cook them on both sides. So I was like thinking in my head, I'm like, I need to come up with something. I opened my fridge. I saw that turkey. I saw the roti wrap. And then I saw my giant 5-pound block of raw cheddar cheese. And so I just made, I guess you could call them quesadillas.
Yeah.
But they were just like wraps. And it was just raw milk cheese, which I know is high in nutrients. My roti wrap, turkey, which is high in protein. I grilled those. And then I had like 4 or 5 avocados, cut up 3 avocados. And then I happen to have like, I always have Greek yogurt or sour cream on me.
Oh my gosh.
And so that was our meal.
Can I just say like sour cream?
Oh, sour cream.
Like,
Good culture sour cream.
Sour cream this week.
So good.
So the one I had, like I made a good meal this week, you guys, and it was tacos. But I used the almond flour.
Oh, the Siete?
Siete? They're such a great brand.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for them. And
they're sold at Costco. You buy from Costco?
Yes. Yeah. Thank God they're at Costco because you can get like 20 in a pack from their pack. And I actually was like, because they're a little bit funny, like they're a little hard to work with, the almond ones.
Yeah, they're a little crumbly sometimes.
Yeah. So this time I was like, you know what? Let me try baking. I know.
Hack.
I'm
Life
proud
hack.
myself. Proud of myself. Thank you. And so I like made the taco inside and then I put the meat in the shell, folded it over and made like a lineup of them and I baked them and it was so good. And then we put sour cream in them. And because I've been trying to explore like keto stuff. So like sour cream's like a big keto.
Oh yeah.
Or just like low carb thing. And I just like haven't been a sour cream girl, but now I think I'm a sour cream
You're
girl.
Converted. Have you tried Good Culture?
I haven't.
Okay. Good Culture sour cream.
So good.
Prepare
Good
yourself.
culture everything.
It will. I mean, it'll do what the card cheese did to you. It'll ruin you to other things. So just be prepared. But it was like once again, it was on sale at Whole Foods. I would go there after the chiropractor. It's kind of just like my routine. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is 30% off. I have nothing to use with it, but I'm gonna buy it. And then sure enough, I ended up making those quesadillas, and I was like, great, we have sour cream to use with it.
So good.
But that's so like talking about having prepped meat.
Yeah.
One thing that's really great to have is to have vegetables that take no prep. Frozen peas take hardly any time to cook.
You just give your kids like just a pile of frozen peas.
I'll boil them. I'll have a little boiling pot.
But they'll just like eat a pile of frozen peas like with butter on it.
Oh,
they like
have you ever had that? That's good.
Yeah.
They're starchy. They're high in protein. Literally, if you have a good butter and salt, like my kids love peas. My kids will demolish peas.
Okay.
So peas are really easy. Carrots, like I said, really easy. Like those can be eaten raw or cooked. So like there's times where I'm like, all I got
Raw
are carrots and I just cut it up, or raw cucumbers up from my garden. Another thing is avocado.
Yeah.
So that night I was like, something I love about what I've learned about living overseas is that you don't need to eat a balanced plate. You just need to have a balanced life. There are times where sometimes for dinner, my kids will just eat straight up meat. I remember one night Cam grilled like 3 delicious steaks. I didn't make any sides. We sat there like barbarians, like cavemen, and we all just ate it with we didn't even get plates. We just ate it off the cutting board with our fingers.
Yes.
I was fine with that because I'm like, you know what? There's going to probably be a meal tomorrow where they have like a ton of fiber and starch in it. And like that it is what it is,
like,
you know? They're going to be fine.
Yeah.
But I loved having the avocado that night to be able to pair with it. So like just having things that are already prepped has just been really helpful for me.
Yeah, that's so good. And you're definitely like a lover and appreciator of frozen organic vegetables and fruits.
I think it's really helpful in this season of life when you don't want to be at the grocery store 24/7 to have frozen fruits and vegetables like that are good quality that you know will reheat well. So like frozen peas, I know my kids will always crush those. Sometimes we'll get like a frozen melody bag. Like I think Costco had one that had root vegetables in it once.
I have that.
Yeah. Whole Foods is really good at having things. So like Whole Foods will have a bag of like frozen butternut squash that's already prepared. It's already like a big thing with butternut squash. It's already peeled and chopped. And so all I need to do is like throw it in the air fryer. One really practical resource for people that I think can really help if you're the kind of person that's like Meg, that's like so loosey-goosey, I can't handle that. There's this book called Cook Once, Eat All Week.
Oh.
I own it.
Nice. That's like what you do.
Yes. Kind of. I love to live my life that way because it makes me a lot less reactionary.
Yeah.
That is a really good book where you're like, I actually need step-by-step instructions.
Yes.
I bought that book off of like I got it from a thrift bookstore. But she's amazing because she will literally be like, these are all the things I want you to cook on Sunday. And then throughout the week, you basically just assemble them.
It's like literally what I need.
You can borrow my book if it helps you.
Please.
Yeah, for sure. But what I like to do is I like to buy, I love chicken thighs. Like if you're keto, gosh, chicken thighs are amazing. I like getting a bunch of chicken thighs and I'll think in my head, like sometimes I'll just literally grill. Like I told you, sometimes I'll just grill or cook a bunch of meat in one day and I chop it and I put it in my refrigerator. I'm like, tomorrow I'll think about it. And the next day, like tomorrow, I'm like, okay, I'm going to make a salad today. Today, I'm going to make a chicken salad. Today, I'm going to make, whatever. I'll like throw meals together that way. And then there's times where I like to be more creative. One of the things I've done to replace my scrolling on my phone of like Instagram or TikTok or whatever is like scrolling Pinterest.
Nice.
And I just like love looking at recipes. I'm like, ooh, look, I just found this like recipe that has like sun-dried tomatoes and like cream. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that looks really good.
Inspires you.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm actually going to like be intentional when I go to the store to make sure I pick up.
That's awesome.
Sun-dried tomatoes.
So you've been on like a Whole Foods kick instead of Trader Joe's. I know there was like a season where you were like really Trader Joe's-y.
I loved Whole Foods. Yeah, I do love Trader Joe's. Sometimes they just have like good staples that are on sale and there's like a whole vibe. I'll definitely be going there now that it's fall. It's fun for me.
Yeah.
But
Trader Joe's in the fall.
Yes, it's a fun experience for me. Yeah. But I like that Whole Foods has an app. And what I'll do is I'll go to the chiropractor and on my way there, if I drive with Cam, I'm like looking on my phone, I'll look up all the different things on sale. And like, I will only shop sale items at Whole Foods.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to like go there like I do Costco. Like I'm going there for a sale. So if I go on there and I'm like, nothing interests me, but there's times where like that Teton brand, that sells like those like sausages or grass-fed sausages, Tetons. All of the Teton items will be like 33% off.
Wow.
So when I go there, I literally will buy 8 boxes of their breakfast sausages and I'll buy like 10 things of their like hot dogs.
I feel like you should be like posting. You should like let your people know.
I try to. I always forget to post. I literally have like tons and tons of Whole Foods stuff. I'm like, dude, get to Whole Foods because it's on sale.
Also, Aldi and Lidl, I feel like you have been able to find some like good quality things there. How would you encourage people to also find some good quality products at places like Aldi and Lidl?
So Lidl's my jam. Aldi I know less about, but I go there for my parents when I stay with my parents. They have raw cheeses there. So they have raw, it starts with a C, but I'm not going to be able to pronounce it, but it's like a COMMET maybe. Comé or something. They have a raw cheese like that. They have raw Parmesan there. They have a raw Swiss and they have raw Gruyere. Now you can sell raw cheese in the States if it's been aged past 6 months. And also Trader Joe's has that in Whole Foods. But if you see aged 18 months, like normally they're telling you that so that Like that's almost like indicative of like, oh, this is probably a raw cheese. They also have a lot of like grass-fed, grass-finished or organic beef that goes on sale every once in a while. So you can get that for pretty cheap. Their produce isn't super expensive. You can get like I'll often go there and they'll have whatever didn't like sell last week for their fruit and vegetables or whatever's seasonal. If you like to eat seasonally, which I do, Whole Foods, Lidl, and Aldi will sell things seasonally on sale.
Yeah. One of the things I appreciate about Lidl, they have pasture-raised eggs for like really cheap there.
Yes, and so is Trader Joe's. They're a place to get eggs,
Okay, Trader. I haven't been there in so long.
Yeah.
Trader Joe's. I think I need to like get, I know. I'm like closer now, but it's just far in my head still.
Yeah.
I still feel like I live in Norfolk. But also Lidl carries that brand of beef and chicken that's like organic. That's really good. I can't
There's a little farmer on the front.
Yeah, it's got a farmer on the front, but then their beef is 100% grass-fed and grass-finished, which I always think is so cool that Lidl has that as an option.
You know, Lidl and Trader Joe's are like cousins.
Oh, are they?
They like come from the same tree. They're branches of the same tree.
I see.
I love both of those stores. If you don't have access to a Costco, honestly, even Walmart has some good options.
Walmart be where it's at.
I love buying my mackerel and my sardines from Walmart. They have good, clean mackerel and sardines that are in olive oil and not in canola oil or in other oils.
Even like
this
other products
crisp
that we like. Yeah, Good Crisp, Lesser Evil, really good ghees and coconut oils. All of that stuff is like $2 to $3 less at Walmart than you would find at like a Harris Teeter.
Oh, for sure.
Whole Foods.
Walmart is a great place sometimes where I will do, and whenever I do an online order, this is a fun fact. The closest Walmart to my house is on the top 10 most dangerous grocery stores in the U.S.
It's true.
Literally. Literally.
Scary place.
I don't like going in there.
Before I go.
Holy Spirit.
Literally, Lord.
You know it's bad if there's like cops that greet you at the door. I'm like, what's up, Ralph? So I'll do like an online order from that Walmart and then I'll just like have them like loaded into my car. But yeah, there are some like good options out there. You just have to be strategic and not allow yourself to be. It's bad to be in a reactive mode when it comes to food. It's better to be in a responsive mode. So like, I'm not a rhythms girly. I am a spontaneous girl to my core. But when it comes to food, part of it's from growing up poor. Part of it's from growing up in a house with a ton of people where like you have to like fight for your food. But like I'm thinking about food all the time. So I'm already like I'm out of True Fruit frozen strawberries from Costco. I should have opened up with that. That's something I've been loving. I've been crushing True Fruit.
Oh my God, those are so good.
I have been crushing. I bought 4 or 5 bags.
Oh my God.
Like I couldn't fit anything in my freezer. Like I'm already thinking about that. I'm like, okay, let's see. Like, I'm low on that and I'm like low on Greek yogurt. Like I should probably stop by Costco on my way back and just get those 2 things. But I really don't like to be without and then have to be like, oh, I gotta like DoorDash tomorrow. That literally never happens to me. I've never DoorDashed out of necessity. I don't think I've ever been like, you know what, we don't have any food in the house. We need to go out to eat tonight. I've never been in that.
You're always someone who can make anything out of everything.
Yeah.
You're super resourceful. My mother-in-law's like that too, where like I had a grocery shop before she came because I thought, oh, maybe we'll go and get groceries, but she'll just like open up my fridge and be like, oh, I know you have a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I'll make a little bit of this. And I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Couldn't have done that.
Like if I have like a loaf of bread and eggs left, I'm like, oh, French toast tonight. Or like, something my husband does often. This is like my kids love this. So I have bought Annie's bulk craft, or that's not craft, it's mac and cheese.
Yeah,
from Costco before. It was like on sale one day for like $15 to $11.
Regular in our house. I'll tell you what.
It's not a regular in our house, but I'll say this. If you add certain things to it, you can make more nutrient dense, right? So like we got a ton of frozen ground beef from a farm. Parker Pastures. Yeah, I love them. Shout out to you, Chloe. You're doing great. So Cam will take a thing of ground beef out, or we'll have ground beef in our fridge. He'll make that mac and cheese, and then he'll use raw milk, raw cheese to add into it. And then he'll add a pound of that like grass-fed, grass-finished beef. And then he'll add like 2 or 3 cups of frozen peas.
Nice.
And just...
That's awesome.
My kids
freaking
freaking love that.
collagen in there too if you want.
You could if you wanted to, yeah. But with the butter and the cheese and the milk all being raw.
Plenty. Yeah. So
and then you have this like good-ish kind of pasta with ground beef, with peas. It's like you just hit every food group there. It's filling, high protein, it's nutrient dense. And it's one of those things where like, I'm like, hey, I got to run tonight, but can you give this to the kids? It's like a no-brainer.
What do you do for the kids for lunch? Are you giving them leftovers often? Are you making them fresh meals every day? What does like lunch look like for the kids when they're home? What's home life?
Yeah, at home, we often will do leftovers for lunch. I like doing leftovers, but if not leftovers, and that giant hunk of turkey deli meat from Costco, we'll do that. My husband really likes making like a stick of the raw cheese that we'll make. And then he takes the organic deli meat that we'll get from Costco and he'll roll it up. Or we'll do it like around like a fermented pickle.
Nice. Ooh.
Yeah, Bubba's, that like lacto fermented pickles. We'll do that. Carrot sticks, cucumbers. We eat from the garden a lot for lunch. Like if like right now, what do we have? Oh, right now my eggplant's coming in.
Nice.
My kids are not eggplant fans yet.
Really?
But I've researched new recipes for eggplants. So like those are coming in. What else? My melons are coming in my garden. So we'll do that.
Exciting.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Any other tips and tricks that you can think of?
Yes. So I would say that as a mom, in order to not be reactive, you have to have like a list in your brain of like things that are easy, fast, quick, on the go things, right? So for me, raw carrots, those fermented pickles at Bubba's, that's just like that's something that's not going to go bad. It's going to be sitting in a jar. It can sit in your jar in the fridge for a year. It's not going to go bad. Those carrots aren't going to go bad for a long time. Yeah. Having banana chips, those aren't going to go bad.
I got to ask you this. How did you get your kids to eat vegetables? I feel like that is like, how?
I start them really young. This is not going to be a popular opinion here.
Yeah.
But if you don't eat what I give you, you're not going to eat until you eat what I've given you.
Yeah.
So if I put a carrot on your plate and you say, I don't like carrots, I'm like, that sucks because that's what I gave you today. So you can't have anything else until you eat your carrot. And they just have to eat the carrot.
And do you feel like they like love vegetables?
This should be encouraging for you moms who have picky eaters. I started Flora and Clementine on vegetables really, really young. Like I was literally grinding up Brussels sprouts and putting them into little squeezy pouches when like Lemon was like 7 months old. I did not do that for Theo because I realized it made Lemon really gassy. And I was like, oh, I shouldn't be giving her a ton of cruciferous vegetables. So I was still kind of figuring out the way that we were eating as a family. So with Theo, he was very carnivore. I avoided actually a lot of grains and vegetables in particular with Theo. So, but then I kind of got out of that carnivore mindset. I got out of the pro-metabolic mindset and I started introducing broccoli, cauliflower, asparagus, all these vegetables to Theo at an older age. And he was very resistant.
Was he?
He was like,
okay.
I'm not eating that. He was he was big straight. That tastes like poop. That smells like poop. I'm not eating that. Now, unfortunately,
such an accurate description.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, you know what? If there's sulfur in there, you're gonna be smelling that. The downside for Theo is that like he's had to get used to that. Where I'm like, you got to eat a few bites if you want to move on to the next phase of eating. You have to be eating that. Like I'm not gonna give you an option. You can dip it in syrup.
Yeah.
You can dip it in ketchup. Okay. I'll give you something to dip it in to kind of offset that. My girls will wolf it down because they've been eating it since they were kids.
Right.
So early exposure, not a ton of, you want to be giving them broccoli every day.
Totally.
Especially if it gives them a reaction.
Yeah.
Early exposure is good. But also like your kids can learn and adapt to like things if you just give it to them enough and be like, if you want to move on, you have to eat this, dip it in something.
So when you say if you want to move on, like, is it the first thing you present to them? Is it that you can't get dessert if you don't eat this? Is it that you don't get your next meal? Like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah. So like if we're sitting down for dinner and there's green beans for dinner and I know that Theo doesn't like green beans, I'll say, hey, bud, the first thing you got to eat on this plate is your green beans. I don't want you filling up on chicken and rice and not eating your green beans.
Yeah.
Do you want a sauce? What's your favorite sauce? Ranch, barbecue, or ketchup? Those are your 3 choices. You can dip it in any of that if you want. And he'll pick barbecue and I'll pour it on his plate. And I'm like, go ahead, let me see. Or I'll say, you know what makes it easier is to take a bite of rice with your bite of green bean. And I'm just like, because there's times where like, I don't love something that's on my plate. Like there's times where like I'll overcook the squash and I'm like, I'm just going to take a bite of this with a bite of my chicken.
Yeah.
And
it always makes things better.
So I told my kid, so I'm like, take a bite of that, and dip it in some barbecue sauce. Yeah. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
But I'll be like, you definitely can't have dessert if you're not going to eat your green beans. And I won't give them an unreasonable amount.
Do you always have dessert?
No, I don't. I don't always have dessert. Okay. But sometimes I will create a dessert in my head if I need to motivate my kids to eat.
Right.
So if I see that they're all like pushing around like the food I've made, I'm like, no, I can have popsicles tonight. I always have popsicles in my freezer. Smart. And like, there's like little, they're like 10 calories, like 5 grams of sugar, you know, those DB's popsicles. So and so I always have them in my freezer. So I'm like, oh man, like if you guys don't eat your food, I can't give you guys popsicles. I'm like, oh, they like eat their food.
Yeah. It's amazing what motivates them.
Yes. And I know when they're full and when they just tell me they're full. You know, as a mom.
Totally.
So sometimes like Flora literally yesterday morning was like, I'm full after she like loaded her plate with like all this like food for breakfast. And then like no joke, after I took her plate away, she's like, oh, can I have some bread and butter? And I'm like, sorry, because you just got rid of all your scrambled eggs. So would you like to finish your scrambled eggs? And then she has a choice to make. Do I want to eat my scrambled eggs and then get some bread? Or do I just not want to eat anything? She just chose not to eat anything. She's like, no, it's okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go. That's awesome.
Yeah. There's been like Flora's toddler years. she would refuse to eat scrambled eggs. And I'm not going to sit there and force her to eat them. But I straight up put a shower cap, a disposable one, over that plate of scrambled eggs. And we're in the car. She's like, I'm really hungry. I'm like, oh, it's great. I brought your eggs.
Yes.
When we get to the gardens, you get to eat your eggs.
Yes. I know I do that too. And it's such a frustrating experience. But it's also like good.
Yeah. Because you're not going to be eating a bar. Like you don't get to eat all this like snack food.
Yes.
You know?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. That's so good.
Or I'll slide into a mason jar and put a lid on and be like, here's your eggs in a mason jar. Here's a spoon. You can eat it in the car.
Literally. No, that's so good. Well, Meg, thank you for sharing all of your like the way that your brain thinks and how you make the most out of, you know, what you buy and how you just kind of serve your family in a really beautiful way through food and budgeting and planning. And I hope that this was a really encouraging topic for your followers. I assume this would be like exactly what they're looking for.
Yes. Yeah, I hope so. And if you have any questions, like drop them in the comments, drop them in the reels, to comment on our Instagram stories, DM
any
us.
Questions you have, exactly.
Yeah.
If you think that Meg should create some sort of little recipe book on like how to make several meals out of chicken or whatever, like let us know, because I feel like that would just be good to know.
That would be.
Because I feel like that would be easy for you. Because it's what you do. It's like your life.
Yeah. What do you do with 5 pounds of ground turkey?
Literally.
Ooh, tzatziki bowl. Tzatziki sauce on it. Yeah, so let us know. We'd love to hear back from you guys. We would love to hear what you guys want to hear more of, or what you want to see more of or less of. And hopefully you guys got something out of this.
Thank you for being with us today.
Yes.